So as we check in with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Heggen, as we always talk about smoke, I always harken back to 2020 when we had those apocalyptic orange skies from all that smoke, and it can never forget that.
No, it's burned in my brain, I think, forever. But I'm hoping that our conditions kind of keep the smoke from some of these fires burning to our north and our south away.
Yeah, I think we're going to be okay in that regard. It looks like most of the smoke is going to be directed away from the Bay Area, at least in the short term. Of course, it just takes the fire crews time to get a handle on fires of this size. So let's talk about the conditions around the biggest fire, the Park Fire that is burning in parts of 4 different counties here to the north and northeast of Chico. Temperatures today were not as unfavorable as they were last week when the fire just exploded in size. Temperatures around 80 degrees, humidity low but not critically low in the 20 to 30% range, and that will creep up as we head through the rest of tonight. And the winds, this is the really good news. Not that strong today, only gusting out of the south around 10 miles an hour or so. So that could be a lot worse. In terms of the smoke being produced by the Park Fire, it's mainly been blowing farther off to the east. Over the weekend, the winds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere will weaken up that some of it tried to back up towards us. That could happen again over the next couple of days, but the majority of that smoke is going to be directed away from the Bay Area. Maybe a little haze on the horizon every once in a while, but I don't think ground level air quality is going to be any worse than the moderate category, and even that is going to be more of a consequence of the heat dome returning and compressing the air at ground level. Looking outside right now from the Mark Hopkins Hotel, sun for most of us after some morning fog. That's what we're expecting for the next several days. A little bit warmer inland, return of inland heat, but not the crazy heat that we had early in July. It's just going to be more of a typical late July and early August hot spell with temperatures into the 90s. No triple-digit high temperatures expected on a widespread basis. Some clouds floating through the atmosphere overhead over the next few days as monsoonal moisture is going to be streaming around the edge of that heat dome. That's going to elevate the dry lightning threat for the Sierra, something we'll watch for other parts of the state. There is the fog. It's a compressed marine layer, but it's still going to spread across San Francisco and even across the Bay to some extent. Temperatures right now running in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So we have seen more 80s on the map for inland parts of the Bay Area today, while temperatures in San Francisco and Oakland just a couple degrees warmer. No significant changes there. And later on tonight, we'll cool off nicely. The heat won't really build in until tomorrow for those inland locations. It looks like a nice evening at Oracle Park. The clouds are going to be streaming in. Temperatures starting in the mid-60s, but then dropping down into the upper 50s as the Bay Bridge Series commences tonight. Just a 2-game series as the Giants welcome the A's from across the Bay. Temperatures later tonight drop down to the 50s on a widespread basis. Just the warmest spot staying around or just above 60 degrees. The fog is going to spread out, but it's not going to be as widespread as it has been the past several mornings. A push across the bay, but not a huge intrusion into the inland valleys. And where the fog does make its way inland, it's not going to last very long, and it's not going to have much of a chance to put the brakes on the warm-up that's going to kick in, especially away from the water tomorrow. Let's check out tomorrow's forecast highs, which are going to reach back up into the 80s and 90s inland. Mid-80s for San Jose, upper 80s for Los Gatos, 90 for Morgan Hill, and we're talking about low to mid-90s inland in the East Bay for some of the hottest locations on the map. Mix of 70s and 80s around the south end of the bay and down the peninsula, with 60s and 70s for San Francisco and Oakland, and the North Bay mostly returning to the 80s as well, but getting closer to 90 degrees, even exceeding 90 degrees as you head farther inland towards Healdsburg by tomorrow afternoon. The 10-day temperature outlook, there's some ups and downs, but in general, we're talking about a pretty consistent forecast here. The little spikes in the 10-day outlook for Livermore are just about 5 or 6 degrees warmer than the coolest days. So just consistently hot, but not excessively hot, only running a couple degrees to maybe 6 or 7 degrees above average over the course of the next 10 days. Let's focus just on the next 7 days. Temperatures inland returning to the low to mid 90s, some clouds floating through that monsoonal moisture, but the dry lightning threat around the Bay Area is going to remain very low. Something we'll keep an eye on just in case. Temperatures around the Bay, low to mid 70s on a very consistent basis. Morning fog giving way to afternoon sunshine. Along the coast, what we've been saying for the past several days is what we're going to continue to say for the next several days. Morning fog, afternoon fog, nighttime fog, some drizzle mixed in for a little bit of variety, with temperatures just within a degree or two of each other on a day-by-day basis, sitting in the lower half of the 60s, guys.